Have you ever stopped to think about what really happens when you snore every single night? For many people, snoring is just an annoying sound, something that interrupts their partner's sleep or causes the occasional laugh. But the truth is much more serious than you might imagine. Every night that you snore, your brain may be suffering in silence, and over time, this seemingly harmless habit can speed up the deterioration of your mental functions, affecting your memory, your concentration, and even increasing the risk of serious illnesses such as dementia or Alzheimer's. It is not just about noise. Snoring is a sign that your body is not receiving the oxygen it needs while you sleep. Each interruption in your breathing can cause micro-awakenings, breaking up the deep restorative sleep your brain needs to stay healthy. This means that even if you spend 8 hours in bed, you can wake up feeling exhausted, confused, or struggling to remember simple things. It is a silent problem that many people ignore until the consequences become obvious. In this video, we are going to explore, in depth, why snoring every night can be more dangerous than you think. We will talk about the most common causes of snoring, from the position in which you sleep to factors such as age, weight, and daily habits. Then, we will discover how it directly affects the brain and what long-term risks it poses to your cognitive health. Finally, I will show you practical strategies, habit changes, and medical solutions that can help you protect your mind and regain truly restorative nights of sleep. If you have ever ignored your snoring or thought it was just a minor inconvenience, this video will change your perspective. This is not only about sleeping better, it is about taking care of your brain, your memory, and your quality of life in the years to come. What you learn here can make the difference between years of interrupted sleep and a deep rest that truly benefits your mind. Before we continue, I would love to get to know you a little better. Tell me in the comments how many years old you are and from where you are watching me. Knowing that will help us connect and better understand how these tips can be applied to your life. Now, without further delay, let us discover together why snoring is not just an annoying sound, but a serious warning that your brain is sending you every night. Snoring is much more than just a nighttime sound that can bother your partner. It is a physiological phenomenon that occurs when the air passing through your upper airways causes vibrations in the tissues of your throat. These vibrations create that characteristic sound that many people know, but that few recognize as a warning sign for their health. Each snore indicates that something inside your body is functioning inefficiently while you sleep, and if it becomes chronic, it can have much more serious effects than you imagine. Not all snores are the same. Some people snore occasionally, for example, after a heavy dinner, an excess of alcohol, or a cold. In these cases, the snoring is usually temporary and does not necessarily indicate a serious problem. However, when snoring becomes a nightly routine, that is, when it happens every night or most nights, it can be a sign that your airways are partially obstructed, causing interruptions in your sleep and reducing the oxygen supply to your brain and body. There are many factors that contribute to chronic snoring. Age is one of them. Over time, the muscles of the throat tend to relax more, which increases the likelihood that the tissues will vibrate as you breathe. Excess weight also plays an important role, since extra fat around the neck can narrow the airways, intensifying snoring. Even the position in which you sleep has an influence. Sleeping on your back makes it easier for the tongue and soft palate to fall backward, partially blocking the airflow and causing vibrations. In addition, individual anatomy, such as large tonsils, a deviated septum, or a long, soft palate, can predispose you to snore. Finally, certain daily habits such as smoking, consuming alcohol before bed, or taking sedatives can over-relax the muscles of the throat and worsen snoring. In daily life, the impact of snoring goes beyond the person who snores. Many couples know firsthand the stress and fatigue that comes from sharing a bed with someone who snores every night. Interrupted sleep affects the quality of life of both, and it is common for people who snore to wake up feeling tired, with headaches, or with lack of concentration during the day, even though they have spent several hours in bed. This shows that snoring is not just a sound, it is a sign that your body is not resting as it should. The most important lesson from this part is clear. Do not ignore snoring. That constant sound is a warning that something is happening inside your body, and understanding why it occurs is the first step to protecting your health. Recognizing the factors that cause it, observing how it affects your sleep, and seeking early solutions can make the difference between nights of restorative rest and a silent deterioration that affects your brain and your overall well-being. When we think about snoring, we often only imagine an annoying noise that disrupts the calm of the night. However, the real problem with chronic snoring is how it affects the quality of our sleep. Sleeping is not just about lying down for a few hours. It is about going through deep restorative sleep cycles that allow the body and brain to regenerate. Every time you snore, your airways narrow and oxygenation decreases, causing almost imperceptible micro-awakenings. Even if you do not remember them, these interruptions fragment your sleep and reduce the time you spend in the deepest and most beneficial stages of rest. Deep sleep is essential to keep your brain functioning optimally. It is during this time that memories are consolidated, emotions are processed, accumulated toxins are eliminated, and neuronal connections are strengthened. When snoring interrupts this process, your brain loses part of its ability to repair and protect itself. This may seem insignificant at first, but over time, the lack of deep sleep builds up and begins to affect your memory, your attention, and your ability to make decisions. The immediate consequence is that you wake up feeling tired, even after sleeping 8 hours, with a feeling of heaviness in your head and difficulty concentrating on everyday tasks. The impact of snoring is not limited to rest. The chronic fatigue it generates increases irritability, causes mood changes, and decreases motivation. Many people who snore every night do not realize that their temper, their frequent forgetfulness, and their lack of energy during the day are directly related to the quality of their sleep. Imagine an older adult who, after an apparently full night's sleep, gets up feeling exhausted, unable to remember details of recent conversations or to concentrate on simple activities. This situation, which may seem like a normal part of aging, is often a reflection of sleep that has been fragmented by snoring. In addition, snoring disrupts the sleep cycles. Each night we go through light, deep, and REM sleep stages, each with specific functions for physical and mental recovery. The micro-awakenings caused by snoring reduce the proportion of deep and REM sleep, directly affecting memory, creativity, and learning ability. Over time, this constant disruption can generate silent cognitive deterioration that goes unnoticed until more serious problems of attention and memory appear. That is why a sound that seems harmless has consequences that are much deeper than we imagine. The most important reflection from this part is simple but powerful. Your brain needs deep sleep to stay healthy. If you interrupt it every night, you are depriving it of its best protection. This is not just about feeling tired the next day. This is about taking care of brain function, memory, concentration, and, in the long term, preventing cognitive decline. Understanding how snoring affects your sleep is the first step in taking measures that protect your well-being, your daily energy, and your brain health in the future. Nighttime hypoxia, the silent enemy. When we talk about snoring, many people think it is just an annoying sound that interferes with their partner's rest. But the most serious problem of chronic and severe snoring is not something you hear. It is something you feel inside your body. Nighttime hypoxia. This term refers to the decrease of oxygen in the blood while you sleep. Every time your airways narrow or become partially blocked, your brain receives less oxygen than it needs to function properly. This lack of oxygen not only affects your energy during the day, but night after night it has profound and cumulative consequences on brain health. Untreated nighttime hypoxia can cause silent neuronal damage. Brain cells are extremely sensitive to changes in the oxygen supply. Even brief episodes of deoxygenation repeated over many nights can generate brain inflammation, oxidative stress, and weakening of neuronal connections. In the long term, this can translate into memory problems, difficulty concentrating, reduced learning capacity, and in severe cases, an increased risk of developing dementia or cognitive decline. What is worrying is that these effects do not always show up immediately. Many people ignore the initial signs, such as chronic tiredness, mild confusion, or mood changes, thinking they are a natural part of aging. In addition to affecting the brain, nighttime hypoxia has serious physical consequences. Blood pressure can rise due to the constant activation of the nervous system to compensate for the lack of oxygen. Over time, this increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, and strokes. Studies have shown that people who snore heavily for years are more likely to experience episodes of sleep apnea, a condition characterized by repeated breathing interruptions, which multiplies the risk of permanent damage to the brain and heart. There are many examples of people who underestimated their snoring and ended up facing serious problems. For example, Peter, a 75-year-old man, thought his snoring was just an inconvenience for his wife. Over the years, he began to notice frequent forgetfulness and difficulty concentrating. It was not until his family insisted on a medical evaluation that he discovered he had severe sleep apnea and chronically low oxygen levels during the night. His story is not isolated. Many older adults who ignore these signs end up developing cognitive problems that could have been avoided if they had been detected in time. The most important warning you should remember is clear. Every night you snore without control, your brain receives less oxygen than it needs. This is the reason why snoring is not just a nighttime inconvenience, but a silent threat to brain health. It is not only about feeling tired the next day, it is damage that accumulates and can put at risk your ability to think, remember, and live independently in the long term. Understanding the relationship between severe snoring and nighttime hypoxia is crucial to taking preventive measures. Early detection, proper medical evaluation, and changes in sleep habits can make an enormous difference. Recognizing that the problem goes beyond the noise is the first step to protecting your brain, your memory, and your overall well-being. Ignoring this silent signal can bring consequences that go far beyond the annoying sound. It affects life itself. Snoring and long-term brain deterioration. Chronic snoring is not just a nuisance. Science has shown that it has a direct impact on brain health over time. Recent studies have found that adults who snore severely for years have a higher risk of cognitive decline, memory problems, and even Alzheimer's. The connection lies in the combination of fragmented sleep and episodes of nighttime hypoxia. Each breathing interruption reduces the amount of oxygen that reaches the brain and fragments deep sleep, which is vital for neuronal repair, memory consolidation, and the cleansing of toxins accumulated during the day. Imagine Manuel, a 72-year-old man. For decades, his wife had listened to him snore every night, but he never considered it important. Over time, he began to notice forgetfulness. He forgot names, medical appointments, and even places he had visited hundreds of times. At first, he thought it was normal with age, but a specialist explained that his severe snoring and sleep apnea were accelerating the deterioration of his neurons. The damage does not occur overnight. It happens gradually, accumulating micro-injuries in regions of the brain responsible for memory and attention. What makes this situation even more worrying is that many people do not connect the initial symptoms with snoring. Daytime fatigue, lack of interest in activities they used to enjoy, or difficulty concentrating are early signs that something is going wrong. If they are not detected in time, these problems intensify and can lead to significant cognitive decline. The key message you must remember is this: it is not just a bad habit, it is a risk factor that can be prevented. Recognizing the importance of healthy sleep and seeking help for severe snoring can make the difference between keeping your mind active and facing cognitive problems in the future. Doctors recommend that anyone who snores every night consider a medical evaluation, especially if they experience extreme tiredness, frequent forgetfulness, or observed breathing pauses during sleep. Prevention and early intervention are your best allies to protect your brain. Risk factors that increase the damage. Snoring and sleep apnea do not affect everyone in the same way. There are risk factors that intensify brain damage and increase the likelihood of cognitive decline. Among the most important are excess weight, alcohol consumption, smoking, and sleeping on your back. Excess weight causes fat to accumulate around the neck and throat, which narrows the airways and makes breathing difficult during the night. Alcohol and certain sedatives relax the muscles of the throat, increasing the likelihood that the airways will collapse. Sleeping on your back also makes it easier for the tongue and soft palate to partially block the airflow, increasing snoring and breathing interruptions. Chronic illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes, and previous sleep apnea also increase the risk. Hypertension raises the pressure on the blood vessels in the brain, while diabetes affects circulation and can cause neuronal inflammation. Untreated sleep apnea creates a harmful cycle: lack of oxygen, fragmented sleep, and oxidative stress in the brain, speeding up cognitive decline. When several of these factors come together, the risk multiplies. Consider the case of Carmen, a 74-year-old woman with excess weight, hypertension, and poor sleep habits. Her snoring was constant, and every night she experienced small breathing pauses. Over the years, she began to forget important things, to feel irritable, and to be fatigued even after many hours of sleep. Her example shows how the combination of several risk factors can accelerate brain damage much more than a single factor in isolation. The reflection you should keep in mind is clear. Identifying your risk factors is the first step to protecting your brain. Changing habits, controlling chronic illnesses, and adopting measures to improve nocturnal breathing can significantly reduce the risk of cognitive decline and preserve your memory, attention, and overall well-being. Knowing your risks gives you the power to act before the effects become irreversible. Snoring can be much more than a simple nighttime inconvenience. It is often the first sign that something serious is happening in your body. There are symptoms that you should not overlook because they indicate that your brain and your body may be receiving less oxygen than they need while you sleep. Among them, extreme tiredness and daytime sleepiness are the most evident. Waking up feeling exhausted, even after sleeping 8 hours, is a sign that deep sleep is being constantly interrupted. The lack of proper rest affects concentration, causes frequent forgetfulness, and reduces your attention span, leading to mistakes in daily activities and damaging your quality of life. Physical symptoms are also important: headaches upon waking, a dry throat, loud and persistent snoring, episodes of choking, or sensation of not being able to breathe while you sleep. All these signs indicate that the body is struggling to maintain normal oxygenation. Learning to distinguish between occasional snoring and the symptoms of sleep apnea is crucial. Common snoring is usually intermittent and does not affect the feeling of rest upon waking. Sleep apnea, on the other hand, involves repeated breathing pauses, frequent awakenings, and a constant sensation of tiredness even after many hours in bed. Consider Raul, a 75-year-old man who ignored these signals for years. His snoring was loud, and many times his wife woke him up after noticing that he stopped breathing for moments. Raul got used to the fatigue and frequent forgetfulness, believing it was normal with age. However, over time, he began to experience more serious memory problems, difficulty concentrating, and a general feeling of permanent exhaustion. Only after a medical evaluation did he understand that his sleep apnea was seriously affecting his brain and cardiovascular health. The warning is clear. Do not let the symptoms go unnoticed. Your brain is giving you clues. Detecting them in time can make the difference between preventing irreversible damage and facing serious consequences. If you experience any of these signs, it is vital to seek medical attention, undergo sleep studies, and consider strategies to improve nocturnal breathing. Prevention and early intervention are your best allies to keep your mind active and your body healthy. The good news is that there are solutions and habit changes that can help you reduce snoring and protect your brain. This is not just about medications or complex devices. Many times, small lifestyle changes make a big difference. Losing weight, avoiding alcohol before bed, and sleeping on your side are simple but effective adjustments. Excess fat in the neck and the relaxation of throat muscles caused by alcohol contribute significantly to snoring. Sleeping on your side instead of on your back makes breathing easier and reduces the vibration of the soft tissues that produce snoring. Maintaining good sleep hygiene is also key. Going to bed and getting up at the same time, creating a dark and quiet environment, and limiting screen use before bed help improve sleep quality and allow the brain to receive the deep sleep it needs to repair neurons and consolidate memory. Simple breathing techniques and jaw exercises can also be very effective. Practicing deep breathing before going to bed, facial stretches, and jaw movements helps tone the muscles that support the airways, reducing the likelihood of collapse during the night. There are many examples of people who have implemented these changes and noticed surprising results. Better rest, less daytime fatigue, greater mental clarity, and better mood are some of the benefits. In addition, reducing snoring improves the relationship with your partner and decreases the risk of severe apnea and its associated complications. The motivating message you should remember is this: small changes today can protect your mind tomorrow. Do not underestimate the power of simple modifications in your nighttime routine. Evaluating your habits, identifying the factors that contribute to snoring, and consistently applying changes can be the difference between preserving your memory and facing cognitive decline. Taking action now is a step toward a healthier brain and truly restorative sleep. Devices and therapies. When snoring becomes chronic or is accompanied by sleep apnea, there are devices and therapies that can make a big difference in your quality of life and your brain health. One of the first resources is special pillows, designed to keep the head and neck in a position that facilitates breathing and reduces the vibration of soft tissues. These pillows help you sleep on your side or keep your head slightly elevated, preventing the tongue and soft palate from blocking the airways. Another practical resource is nasal dilators and nose strips, which gently open the nostrils and allow freer airflow during the night. For many people with moderate snoring, these simple devices already offer significant improvements, reducing noise and improving sleep quality. However, when the problem is more serious, such as obstructive sleep apnea, it is necessary to consider more advanced medical options. Among them, CPAP stands out, a device that keeps the airways open through constant air pressure. Although it may seem intimidating at first, many people report an immediate improvement in sleep quality, reduced daytime fatigue, and greater mental clarity. Other similar devices, such as oral masks or dental appliances, can also help reposition the jaw and tongue to maintain steady breathing. The key is not to try to treat severe snoring without professional guidance. Medical consultations and sleep studies are essential, as they allow doctors to identify the exact cause of the problem, its severity, and the most appropriate treatment. Stories of people who have gone to specialists are inspiring. For example, Anna, 72 years old, after using a CPAP and following medical recommendations, noticed that her nighttime awakenings disappeared, her memory improved, and she felt more alert during the day. The warning is forceful. Do not ignore chronic snoring. Seeking help can save your brain. Every night without treatment is a night in which your body and your mind receive less oxygen than they need. Taking action in time not only improves your rest and well-being, but also protects your cognitive ability and prevents irreversible damage. There are many myths around snoring that may cause people to underestimate it or interpret it incorrectly. One of the most common is believing that everyone who snores will develop dementia. The truth is that not all snoring implies a serious risk. The alarm goes off when there is chronic snoring accompanied by sleep apnea, recurrent lack of oxygen, and fragmented sleep. Another frequent myth is thinking that snoring only bothers the partner. Although it certainly interferes with the rest of those who sleep nearby, the real danger is inside the body. It affects the heart, circulation, and above all, brain health. It is important to differentiate between occasional snoring and severe apnea. The first can be punctual, caused by a cold sleeping position or a night of excessive alcohol. In these cases, the health consequences are minimal. Severe apnea, on the other hand, produces repeated breathing interruptions that reduce the oxygen in the blood, fragment deep sleep, and can speed up cognitive decline. Recognizing this difference is key to acting in time. The real risks of chronic snoring are backed by science: increased blood pressure, brain inflammation, higher risk of strokes, memory deterioration, and higher likelihood of Alzheimer's. Knowing these facts allows us to make informed decisions about our rest, nighttime habits, and, if necessary, seeking professional treatment. The sentence you should remember is, knowing the truth gives you the power to act in time. Understanding the risks and separating myths from reality is the first step to protecting your brain, improving your sleep, and ensuring lasting well-being. This is not just about reducing noise, it is about taking care of your life, your mind, and your future. Throughout this video, we've explored a topic that many people underestimate: nighttime snoring. Beyond the annoying noise that can interrupt the sleep of those who sleep nearby, chronic snoring has real and dangerous consequences for the health of the brain and the body. From the interruption of deep sleep, which is essential for memory and mental recovery, to nighttime hypoxia, which reduces oxygen in the blood and can damage neurons, every night of uncontrolled snoring represents a silent risk. We have seen that the factors that increase the damage are varied: excess weight, alcohol consumption, smoking, sleeping on your back, and illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes, or sleep apnea. Each of these elements does not act alone. When combined, they speed up cognitive decline and raise the risk of serious problems such as strokes or even Alzheimer's. But not everything is lost. There are concrete and accessible strategies to reduce the risk, from habit changes such as sleeping on your side, improving sleep hygiene, and avoiding substances that relax the muscles of the airways, to breathing and jaw exercises that strengthen nocturnal breathing. In addition, we have devices and medical therapies that can make a real difference: special pillows, nasal strips, dilators, and in more serious cases, CPAP or dental appliances that keep the airways open. The key is not to ignore the symptoms and to go to a specialist to undergo sleep studies that identify the exact cause of the problem and determine the most appropriate treatment. Stories of people who have applied these measures show clear results: more rest, less fatigue, greater mental clarity, and above all, effective long-term brain protection. The final message is forceful. Taking care of your sleep is taking care of your brain and your quality of life. Every small action you take today, every adjustment in your habits, every preventive medical checkup can translate into years of preserved mental and physical health. This is not only about stopping snoring, it is about protecting your memory, your energy, your concentration, and your overall well-being. Before we say goodbye, I want to invite you to reflect and take action. If your snoring is frequent, loud, or causes daytime fatigue, visit your doctor, apply the habit changes, and consider the available devices or therapies. Your brain and your body will be grateful. And as always, I would love to know a little more about you. Let me know in the comments how many years old you are and from where you are watching me. Your comment matters a lot to me and helps us create content that truly helps you take care of your health. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Remember, the information you apply today can protect your brain tomorrow, and small steps can make a big difference in your well-being and longevity. Take care of your sleep, protect your mind, and live with more energy and clarity every day.